Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to cut a fitted gown, a bustier fitted gown with a yoke. But first, I'm going to be drafting it on this paper, and then I will now cut it out with my fabrics. So first I will check my measurements, the length of the top part. First, I'm going to be using 8 inches to drop my yoke. So I'll rule this line on this paper to indicate where I'm going to be starting from. So by the time I place my tape on it, that's 8 inches. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is the breast point, and the breast point is 10, 13. 10, that's the nipple point, then 13 inches. That's the underbust. So I'll add 2 inches as my allowance. So the next thing now, I'm going to be measuring the middle part. For the up part, I'm making use of 4.5 inches up and then 4.5 inches down. So I'll connect my lines. The 4.5 inches is from the up. That is from the yoke line. That's the first line. This middle one is the breast point, underbust, then allowance. That's the 2 inches allowance I added. So from this middle point, the 4.5 inches, I will measure 1 inch from the underbust part. Then from the right side, the left side, 1 inch, another 1 inch. Then from the top, that's the yoke part, I'm using 1.5 inch. That line is where my yoke is going to be starting from. Then the other part of it, 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to be joining my line. I'm going to be using straight lines first before I curve to make it easier for you. So it will go like that. From the breast point, I'll draw a straight line to the yoke line. This actually indicates the dart. It's like the dart because the middle part, I'm going to be removing it. So, and then draw it down to the allowance part. Then from the underbust to the allowance part. Then I'll do the same to this other side, up like that. So from the breast point down to the underbust to the yoke point, that's the top part, then down to the allowance. As you can see, the lines are straight. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is now I'm going to be using my marker now to curve it out, because you can't cut it like this. If you cut it like this, they will be straight. You have sharp edges, so I'm going to be curving it out, making my curve now. This is where you put your artistic skills to work as a designer. So now I curve. This breast bustier pattern is really easy for a beginner. You can use it and you come out with a perfect breast cut. So you just curve because you don't want sharp edges. So you just curve. As you can see, it is already taking shape. You see the bust shape is already coming out. You do the same to the other side. Just curve, draw it very well. Curve it. Don't make it too big unless if you want something that is really big. But you just draw it according to the measurement. You can see the shapes are already there. Look at the left side and the right side. The middle part, that middle line, you don't touch. So the next time I'm going to be cutting it out. The essence for this cut is like when you are doing that on your normal dress. It's like the dart of a breast cut. You know that you always hold, but this you cut it out when it comes to bustier. You can see the middle part, it's coming off. That's it. So you threw that away. You can see that middle part, that's like your dart, so it's removed now. So you place it on top, make sure it's accurate. The lines, make sure they are accurate. Then you now measure out your actual measurement. For this video, the bust is 36. 36, that's what I'm going to be using. You divide it into 4, you have 9. So there's no point, just 9 inches. You place it at the top part. You measure your 9 inches. I'll add 4 inches as my allowance. You can use 3 inches, depends on what you want. I always try, I don't want problems, so I always have enough allowance on my clothes when making them. So for the under bust, I'll use 34. Add 4 inches as my allowance. So for the down part, I'll make use of 7.5. Add 4 inches as my allowance. And then bring it down. Then now I'm going to be cutting it out. Always cut outside your lines to avoid problems. So next I'm going to be cutting out the back part. In cutting out the back, all you have to do is to place like this. You can make use of 1.5 inches for your zip allowance. You can make use of 1 inches. Well, it depends on what you want. Always make sure it's accurate, even if you are using your fabrics. So you cut out. So the next thing, I'm gonna be doing the dart for the back part. I don't want to use normal regular dart, as in just holding. So I remember my 8 inches for my yoke. That's what I was trying to measure. So I'll use 5 inches. Why I'm using 5 inches here is because of the zip allowance. Four inches for the down. Then I'll connect my lines. Then I'll measure ½ inch. And I'll cut it out. Why I'm using this ½ inch, I don't want the back to be bulgy. I don't want it to bulge out. You know, when you fix your zip to now be coming out. So I don't want it. So I'll trim out ½ inch from the back. This actually helps it. By the time you sew, it relaxes. Then for the zipper allowance, 1 inch, I'll make a notch on it. So this is the back. And then this is the front. So the next thing, I'm going to be cutting out my fabrics with my pattern. You place it. Indicate so that I'll know the wrong side of the fabric. That is why I'm doing that. So by the time I pad it, you can watch another of my video on how to pad the bustier. I'll take it to my machine and sew. You sew from up down like this. But first you have to pad it first and sew. Then I'll come back and show you how to cut the yoke. This is actually the dress. It's been coupled. So you can see the line. That's the dart lines. So the next thing I'm going to be cutting now is the yoke. I'm going to be cutting it in a very simple way. You remember initially I used 8 inches for my yoke. So now I'm going to be adding a little bit of allowance to it because of the sewing, and then because of the shoulder on top of it. By the time you finish sewing, you know you're going to be joining your shoulders together. So I'm making use of 9½ inches now. I'll just cut it out straight. The length of the up part of the bustier. So I'll take it like this, take it to my machine, place it like this. Make sure everything is straight. Then put my lining on top, the lining that I've cut with the same measurement coupled, and put it like this. I'll use pin to indicate it. You just sew along this line from your machine. So when you are done, you turn it, you iron it properly and cut your neck. Cut the neck, sorry. So this is it now, coupled. So the next thing, I'm going to be cutting out the neck. So you fold it into two. This is the front part, this is the back. You place like this. And remember your 1 inch allowance for your zip. Then I'll measure the shoulder measurement, which was 7. I add 1 inches because of the sewing when I'm sewing it. So that's 8 inches. And then measure out my shoulder. I'll draw out the armhole. That's the armhole. Then you measure out the neck. That's for the back. So this is it now, coupled. So the next thing, I'm going to be cutting the down part. That's the fitted part. It's actually a fitted gown. So you have, what I have here is 15.5. So that's the waist. When you're cutting out the fitted part, it's just like you're cutting a normal skirt, basic skirt, pencil skirt pattern. So you use your normal pattern, you measure your waist, you add 2 inches allowance. Use your 6 inches, between 6 inches. You can watch another of my video on how to cut the pencil skirt. So it will give you clarity on what I'm doing. It's just, this is what I'm doing now. It's just like you are cutting a skirt. It's long straight skirt. 18, that's your knee. You take your measurement, 18. For somebody that is very tall, you can use 19. You can always measure. Don't even assume, just measure. Measure the person, measure it to the knee. And then to the down part. Always remember to remove the up part of your dress. Remove the measurements. So for the hip is 40. So I'll curve it. Add 2 inches as my allowance. Whatever you are doing, like for this dress now, the up part is 13 inches. Remember, that was 11.30. I added 2 inches as my allowance. So I'll cut off that 2 inches. I'll cut off like 1 inch. So I'll leave it. It will now be 14 inches. That's for the up part. So by the time I add the 14 inches to what I'm doing now, As you can see, this is the dress. I just flipped it like this and opened it from the side and turned with lining. So this is the sleeve. You can watch another of my video on how to make a funnel sleeve. I'm going to be attaching this funnel sleeve to it. Just sew along this line and measure the round arm and then sew. And then you just couple it like this. It's not really difficult. Anything you really set your mind to do, you can do it. It's just your determination. So this is almost the end of this video. This is the sleeve. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. This is the dress. Please subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends. Ask any question you really want to ask me. If you don't understand any part, you can ask me. I will reply you very fast. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye. God bless you.